Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. And we're live. My guest today, I'm excited to introduce you to him, CEO and founder of Gen M. And this guy has been creating companies since probably he was crawling around. 3 times awarded winning entrepreneur. He founded 2 companies by the time he was 19, 30 under 30, 40 under 40. And by the way, he was the youngest in that list, under 40. Builder, explorer, competitor. Mo Abbas, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, it's so cool to meet up and chat here. I wanted to kind of remind people the theme for this show, right? We're talking to a bunch of marketers. We want to actually move forward and not get stuck in that technology cycle where we're just buying some tech and not using it. So we really want to, get strategic here. So I wanted to just, talk strategy, what's your approach to marketing? Because obviously you've nailed it with all these companies. And I also want to eventually touch on like marketing careers and staffing and hiring for that. So with that in mind here, it's heavy. I've been working out, but it's heavy. This is Thor's hammer here. So receive Thor's hammer and smash some myth, some like bogus strategy you've heard around marketing, that you just, every time you hear it just drives you crazy. You just want to smash it for once and for all kind of thing.
Absolutely, man. And, for me, the biggest thing is whenever I interview or talk to some marketers and they start talking about brand marketing and, our brand message and our image and our social media in such a way where it's just about the way we look. In my head, the first thing I'm like, well, how is that going to drive business? Like,
how we look like my 2019 beard here, how we look, or are we talking like branding?
Branding,
okay,
right? So don't get me wrong. Listen, branding is super important. Actually, it's a key thing for a lot of my businesses is branding. But branding, it doesn't come first. What comes for most businesses, right? Like 98% of businesses should not be investing in their brand. I mean, it's very easy to make something look good, a few nice images, and you're pretty much there. You should get to Pareto on your brand, 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
So, a few nice images goes a long way, but you should not invest too much in your brand or your PR strategy or, your public facing image, let's say. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a small business or a new startup. What you got to be investing in is growth, lead gen. So you got to be able to define very clearly how you're going to acquire a customer. And branding does not directly acquire a customer. There's no funnel there. There's no, hey, we put up an ad, it goes to a landing page, this is the conversion, this is how we, the first step of the funnel, and then et cetera, to getting an actual sale. That's growth marketing. So whenever I interview a marketer and they start talking to me about brand marketing as the first thing, they would do, it's in my head, I'm like, okay, that's great, but like, that's not going to actually generate any revenue growth. I find a lot of marketers, they focus, they just don't think about sales. Right?
Yeah.
They're so disconnected from sales, which drives me insane. It's like your job is to generate leads. The job is to get sales ultimately, right?
Yeah, there's a revenue responsibility. If you give that up, man, that's how you get relegated to being like sales' print shop,
That's it. A lot of people they'll create like videos and they'll create like explainer videos and like custom and like brand videos and it's just crazy. And I'll go up there and I'll put a landing page and I'll create a simple funnel and I'll destroy them in sales. I'm just like, you just got destroyed. Now I have revenue. I can reinvest in the business. Like now we're at a stage now in our company where brand marketing actually matters,
right?
Because we have our funnels. We know how to grow, right? We have defined ways we can grow. So brand marketing becomes more important. And we did invest a little bit in our image, let's say, but it wasn't a major, it was maybe I don't know, 10% of our pie, let's say, was invested in the actual branding of the company. 90% is in growth and lead gen.
Sure. Why do you think that is? I think one of the reasons you said was They're not thinking about sales, but why this default knee jerk back
I'll
to,
tell you why. Because a lot of
yeah.
people don't measure themselves, and when you don't measure yourselves, it's very easy
Yeah.
to like. How do you held accountable that way? Oh wait, no, I did the video. We did these videos. We did redesign this brochure. Uh, when marketers tell me that to print brochures off and do things that just don't make a whole lot of sense to me, as far as lead gen goes, it's because they're not used to being held accountable on metrics, right?
Right.
On data driven growth, which is
Right.
what a great marketer will do.
Right. It's almost like that old school mindset, or maybe it's B2C, where it's just like activity metrics. Well, I sent out a million
Ah,
emails. I
I,
sent them,
I will destroy my marketers if they tell me that. I'd say, dude, your job is not an email sender. Your job is lead gen. So the question is, how
Right.
many signups did you generate? It's
Yeah.
about outcomes. So the key thing that a marketer needs to is really focus on is outcomes,
Yeah. I
not
like that.
work outcomes. This is a very common problem. When you deal with the very best, the first thing out of their mouth is outcomes. How do we get these
Yes.
outcomes? This is what we can do. This is what we can expect as an outcome. This is how we can track it, and this is the funnel involved in that.
Right. Right. I think it's safer without outcomes, right? Or it feels safer. Like, well, if I don't have any responsibilities, I can't miss. If I don't
Yep.
have any targets, I can't miss them, but I can certainly send out those million emails, and who's going to say anything about it? But then you don't realize that when you act like that, you're the first to go if things aren't working out, right? Or if you want to change something up in a company, if you're not responsible for revenue, like, you're just a draw on the company. But if you tie into revenue, man, you tie into sales.
You're unlimited potential if you can do
Yeah,
that.
you're irreplaceable at that point, right? I mean,
Irreplaceable. Yeah,
you're the
for
growth.
sure.
To your point, growth marketer. That's when you're actually helping out. But you need to maybe have a little courage and just start taking on some ROI.
Great marketers, a lot of them become entrepreneurs because once you figure out how to do
Yeah,
that, you really are unstoppable. You can
it's
generate
true.
cash, revenue, and there's no limit to that. There really is no limit to that.
It's kind of inspiring too. Great marketers become great entrepreneurs.
Right, listen, that's my core competency is sales and marketing, among a few others, but those are the two main ones that I've throughout the years cultivated as a core skill set, and
Interesting.
it's allowed me to build really any type of business, frankly.
And for those who are in the marketing world, make sure you add that sales. I mean, you said sales and marketing, not just marketing. You got to know
No,
that whole
because you can't
part.
close. Like
Yeah.
marketing doesn't matter if you can't close a deal, right?
Right.
Another thing, a lot of marketers are pretty shy too. They don't
Mm,
like to actually talk to clients. That's not bad. Look, if you're really effective in lead gen, you don't need to talk to clients.
true.
Like if you just do lead gen, right? If you're really effective in lead gen, and a lot of marketers, they don't need to because that is actually a different function. But if you're a small business owner and you're doing marketing, you probably need to do some sales as well.
Right.
For like, there's a high probability you just sell some of your own clients.
Sure.
This is why both of them kind of work hand in hand. And if you do both really well, and, I'm a believer, like if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna allocate a function of the company out to an employee or whoever,
Yeah.
you should have a good idea of how it works.
Yes. That's so huge, man. Like, because then it's easier to hold people accountable. You know what's what, and then it's also easier to help and coach them, for
You hold
sure.
them accountable. You know how long it takes. You know what kind of outcomes to
Yeah.
expect, right? So
Right.
like whenever I feel like I'm being bullshitted, it's not even like I'm being bullshitted. It's more like whenever I feel like somebody's being ineffective, I'm like, well, I did that job. And like they give me all these excuses. Okay, let me go back into that role for like a couple of days
Yeah.
and then see if it's me or the world's changed or what it is. And a lot of the times, you'll realize because these people sometimes they're just not really focused on outcomes. They're just not able to get the outcomes. That's another thing is not everyone can get outcomes.
Right. Do you hear that story about Elon Musk's assistant?
Which one, Mary Beth, or
I think it was her. Yeah. Like,
what happened with her?
so, longtime assistant, I was asking for like a mega more raise, and other stuff, wanted to be paid like the C-suite and everything. So he was like, you know what? First of all, you've been working too hard. I've been telling you to take vacation. You haven't taken
Yeah.
one yet. So go on vacation. While you're gone, I'll do your job. And then when you come back, I'll know better what's what. And she came back. He was like, yeah, I don't think I really need an assistant. I was able to do, it's, but yeah, you like know what's going on. That helps with the bullshit for sure. And then
Yeah.
be more successful.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of that. Especially for a small business owner, you should at least know the functions of your business. And if you don't, you're gonna have trouble.
Yeah.
It's really hard to wear a lot of hats. You should not do all the functions
Right.
at the same time, but you should have an idea about them. And once you have an idea, you can hire somebody. In our case, you can use an apprentice. You can offload that function to
Yeah.
them, work with them in that function, move on to another function, and then kind of do the same thing again. And slowly you end up building this machine that you have an intimate understanding of. There's only one thing I don't, and I have a co-founder, an actual business partner who manages this, and that is engineering.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only one where I have an idea about it, but I'm
Yeah.
not. I can't look at his code and be like, "Well, you did this wrong or that wrong," you know.
Right.
But he's a
Right.
partner in the company,
Yeah.
and like we talk all the time, and like it's like there's a lot of communication around product, and I still hold them accountable on timelines and scope
Right.
and roadmap, right? So
Yeah, that makes sense. There's some things, multiple hats and you gotta know where your strengths are.
yeah,
Get
exactly.
some key people in there. So this is important. I love this point. Drive it home. I think this thing is smashed. It's down to like dust now. Um, Branding doesn't come first. Growth marketing, tying yourself to leads. I love the fact that we're saying step up. And one of the things you said was focus on outcomes, not work. Huge, right?
Yeah,
Huge. Whenever,
yeah,
sometimes it feels like whenever the company I'm in or we're working with, you get a new marketer in there, and if the first thing they say is you need a new website, I'm like, do we? 9 times out of 10, it's probably not the website. It's probably you don't have, you're not capturing leads, you're not doing all these other things. Do we really need to put a new skin on the website? Is that really what we need to do?
Well,
Um,
ask them, well, how many visitors are coming to the website? Oh, wait,
yeah,
there's no visitors, but you want to redo the website? Like, why don't you
right.
get visitors to the website? Like, that's top funnel. So you really should start top of funnel, which is
Yeah, I love
traffic,
it. Yeah,
right? Like, before, this is another thing. Well, why does this matter optimizing down here in the funnel? Well, you have nothing coming in the funnel. There's
right.
nothing in. Like, how do you optimizing your sales process and like your close rates when you don't have any leads? What does your website matter when nobody's visiting the website? So you should be
So
like,
true.
okay, start with the top of the funnel, optimize. Okay, let's get visitors. Oh, I got visitors now. Oh, the conversions are not great. Well, let me chart what we do two things. One's Occam's razor and Pareto,
Oh, I love it.
right? So Occam's razor is if there's two options and they both generate the same outcome, choose the simpler one. And
Totally.
Pareto is the 80-20 rule,
Yep.
where 80% of your outcomes come from 20% of your effort. Okay, we actually
Love it.
live our whole business is based on these among other principles, right?
Huh.
So, what does it matter if so okay, now you got traffic, you figure that out. Then you'd be like, okay, well, how do I, convert this traffic better? You start with content. Forget about the design of the website, content,
Yeah.
which it's the communication, the words and images are part of that you use to convey your value proposition. And then from there, which is very easy to do, it's very easy to do. And if you can't update a WordPress website or a Squarespace or a Shopify website,
Sure.
which is content, you're gonna have trouble in business. I'll tell you right now.
Mm.
Okay, it's very easy to do that. It's a 15-minute learning curve, right?
Yeah.
Um, then you update the content. Oh, you got traffic coming through. You check the conversions. And then you need to look at your conversions as well and be like, okay, I got people, what to do? Are they signing up? Are they booking a call? Depending on the kind of product you sell, some of them signups are okay. Some of them are, booking a call is okay. Um, and then that goes into a whole other beast, which is like maybe drip marketing campaign for
Sure.
people who signed up. There's another saying, I see this a lot with businesses, is they're always looking for new business. But there's an old saying, very wise saying, that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Hmm.
And we found actually one of the most effective ways to grow is to re-engage signups that didn't convert. They've already shown intent for your product. You know how hard it is to find somebody who has showed you any level of interest in
Intent.
your product?
Yeah.
Intent's really clutch, right? So this is where you go from, another thing is
What's your definition of intent too? Because that
I'm
really is
searching
important.
for this. I'm like I search. When I search, I have
Got it.
intent. I'm looking for. This is
Looking
what I
for
want.
like it.
Right? The other one is not intent. It's more, you stumble upon.
Yeah.
This is like social media, right? You're like in social media and you get an ad that pops up. Well, I wasn't actually looking for shoes. Well, but you know what? Maybe I'm interested. But now they're getting very advanced in social media.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I was looking for shoes like 2 hours ago, and I see an ad for shoes in my Facebook feed, right?
Yeah.
My Instagram feed, more like it.
Or that listening device heard you complaining about your shitty shoes and how you need to get new ones.
I don't know if they're listening. There's a lot of like debate about,
Yeah.
hey, they're all listening now on these mobile devices. I think what's happening is that people are like searching and they're not really even realizing what they're searching.
Sure.
And they're getting really advanced at detecting your intent through what you look for online.
Yeah.
They're getting really advanced at that. And so whenever you are, for me, a really important thing that I look for in marketing for my audience is first, I really understand my demographic.
Okay.
And then you have to find them when they have intent. And this is why brand marketing, like there's no intent in brand marketing,
Right.
right? There's no like, hey, this person was searching for our business and they found us
Yeah.
because we positioned ourselves there, right?
And
So you gotta
branded,
ask.
branded content, right? Content all about yourself is shit too, right? I mean, you're not helping anybody. They're not going to find it if they're searching for the actual problem they're trying to solve.
They're searching for the problem, right? So
Yeah.
they're trying to find a solution. You
Right.
gotta come up when they're looking for that solution.
Right.
Um, and this is where you get smart marketers who are like, first question, where are people searching? Did you ever ask that? Oh, they don't even ask this question. A lot of marketers are like, where are people
Right.
searching for this solution? And then you have to look at it very nuanced, right?
Hmm.
It can be very, very specific. Um, you know, that's one way is if you get intent. Intent's the best. Another way, which requires a bigger net, is you can create a funnel, but you
Mm.
need a bigger net for that. So, like for
Right.
example, um, like if you do a Google ad
Yep.
where that has high intent, somebody's searching for your solution,
Yeah.
right? It's very expensive now because Google's figured out how to optimize their AdWords, so it's not as cheap
Jeez.
as it used to be.
Used to
Or
be,
you could
yeah,
go.
super cheap, man. Used to be, you'd laugh at the ones bidding on mesothelioma, but then you'd be fine with your, 15-cent dollar click. You'd be cruising, and then now everyone's paying out the nose.
If you're a smart marketer, you watch out for new platforms because what happens is whenever a new platform comes up, like Google, it was a new platform for
Yeah.
a very long time. They you can almost say subsidize their ads. They got to generate critical mass,
Yeah.
liquidity, so they sell their ads for stupid cheap prices,
Right.
so they can take market share, and then people go to that platform and they start increasing the prices. So actually, a lot of people have died because of this, especially on Facebook. I know whole businesses that generated all their traction from Facebook ads early when Facebook launched their ad platform.
Yeah.
And what happens is Facebook starts creeping up the cost per click as more businesses come because it's cheap supply and demand,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their demand was low, the supply was massive. So the cost is really low. But
Right.
then more businesses come, Facebook markets their platform a little better to advertisers. Well, now demand's way higher, supply is the same because they stopped growing,
Right.
and the cost is like 10 times what it was
Right.
because it's that much more competitive, right? There's that many more businesses advertising on Facebook.
Jeez.
So I know businesses that were like, especially apps, you can no longer market an app on Facebook unless you have a crazy acquisition revenue model for the app, or
Oh, jeez.
like only high margin businesses can now do Facebook. Really high margin can do Google. Mid margin you can maybe get away with Facebook, but you can't be a low margin business and get away with ads anymore on the major platforms. So you should keep an eye out when a new platform emerges. They usually subsidize their ad platform. You can get a lot of growth in a very short period until the rest of the world catches up.
Right. Huh. That's a cool power tip of like keeping your eyes open for new platforms. We get some super cheap acquisition costs, especially if people, if they can identify intent, it's money right there. Go get it before it starts adjusting and getting all wonky. And also, if you've got 95% of your business coming from one source, just FYI, things can change if
Careful.
the thing grows a
Yeah.
couple years from now.
So there's power law distribution where the majority of your leads will come from 1 to maximum 3 sources, and you've got to double down on those. Okay, don't
One
put
to
it one
three, huh?
source, 1 to 3. Yeah, you should not have really more than about 3 significant acquisition channels. If you do, there's something weird in your business. Like you're not really focusing in the right places. One of them is going to be your dominant factor, and that's the one you should focus on. Other ones, if you have one that probably is about 50% of your growth, and then the other 2 will account for maybe another 30 to 40%, and then like 10 to 20% will come from like a bunch of other sources.
Right.
You'll see that actually very common in a lot of significant businesses.
It's interesting though. It seems scary to have all those eggs in.
Three is okay. Three is
Three's
fair.
okay. Yeah.
Three is fair.
One is scary, I guess, but
What you got to be careful of is tying in your growth to a high risk single platform, right? Like I know a lot of publishers that relied on Facebook for content distribution.
sure.
Facebook changed their algorithm. A lot of them out of business now. Like
Yeah.
we're talking
Especially
like they had hundreds of, one of them locally had 100 employees. They're down to
really
like 5 employees now. They
because
lost.
I mean,
Yeah.
what happened? Because they changed their algorithm that
Yeah.
it killed their
Yeah. So what
traffic?
happened? Yeah. Yeah. It totally destroyed their traffic, and they're a media company. So Facebook destroyed them, really. They didn't want pages
Wow.
to have reach anymore without paying. So this was like all organic reach on Facebook, right? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't pay for ads essentially. And then Facebook's like, well, we're losing a lot of revenue to like these publishers that are like publishing content, and they're not paying us to promote that content. So let's just change
Jeez.
our algorithm. Now these guys don't have reach anymore. Oh, now you have to pay Facebook if you want reach. Well, too bad, so sad, publishers. Killed a lot of
Wow.
them, actually. Killed a
Wow.
lot of them.
I guess that's why
Yeah.
they say like most businesses fail. Man.
Little things, right? But I wouldn't worry about that as a small business.
Sure.
I really wouldn't worry about that as a marketer. You can build off platforms, but again, you should have more than one, but 3 is okay.
Right.
Let's say you had 3 sources and one died. Well, you still got 2 others you can double down on, and then have time to find another third one.
Right.
And your sources they can change as you scale up. It depends what kind of business you have, right? If you're like a
Sure.
fast growing startup, your acquisition channels may change as you get bigger and bigger.
That's a good point.
You start hitting ceilings.
And to your earlier point, you get so much goodness from your existing either customer list, previous past customers, and the past folks that have signed up. And so could you talk a little more about the whole re-engaging the signups, re-engaging the folks
Yeah,
that maybe converted and they
yeah.
convert again? Or
Best investment you can possibly make in your
yeah, tell me
business.
about it.
There is no better investment than trying to monetize your existing users. It's just you're not going to find a better one. If you have an email list of and I see this a lot actually. I talk to some businesses, and they're selling a relatively decent margin item, and they have like an email list of like 5,000 or 10,000, and they send them like really basic, once in a blue moon like not even promotions, just like a newsletter with no conversions in it, just to
Right.
update it. Here's an update on our company. I'm just like, dude, that's like gold. These people are ready to buy from you. Like you need to like nurture these people and
Yeah.
re-engage them. I know a lot of companies that grow their entire business off email lists. So, I want to talk about that. You see, a second ago, we talked about how Facebook can change an algorithm and destroy your reach. You know why? You don't own your contacts on Facebook,
Ah,
right? You don't own them, but
yeah.
you own your
Good point.
email list.
Right.
Your email list is the only thing, the only method, the only platform where you can talk directly to your customers without an intermediary to censor that content ultimately, right?
Right.
Only one. It's the only one. It's an email list that you can do it in a scalable way. So if you have a list of 5,000, well, those people are going to have that email for probably for the rest of their lives, at least a good part of their lives. And your domain host is not going to be like, oh no, we change our rules now, and like you can't
Right.
people anymore. It's like, no, these are my contacts, right?
Yeah.
So, that's why email lists are so valuable. And that's why people actually spend a lot of time to build up the email list. That's why email spam is actually exploded as well. Because some of the smarter guys, especially affiliate marketers, they figure that one out. And they build these email lists of like a couple 100,000, and they just monetize that. That's all
Wow.
they do is email marketing, nothing but email marketing. So what they'll do is they'll find a product that's kind of like, so they'll build an email list in a niche community. You got to niche your email list if you're going to
Okay.
do
Yeah.
that. And they'll find a product and sell it to their community, right?
Yeah.
And they'll keep them engaged with like content and
Sure.
updates. So you give, ask.
Huh.
I think Gary Vee is big on that. Give, ask. Give, ask. So you give them content, maybe you give them content again, and then you ask them for something, like to buy from you.
I like
Uh,
that. That's cool.
So email lists are extremely, extremely valuable. You should re-engage that list on a regular basis. Um, and another thing I find, I was talking to somebody, a small business owner, and they were selling like, I don't think it was like $300 product or something.
Sure.
And there was an automated sale,
Huh.
right? So people would sign up and they buy it online. It was a product. I
Sure.
get it. Like, you want to automate that? Then I'm like, that makes sense. But I'm like, well, how many of those are you selling? Like, I sell like one a week, two a week, maybe, and I want to
Mm.
up that. And then she's like, I got a lot of people who come to my website and like they don't get to the checkout, or they sign up and they don't
Yeah.
really get. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you have like $600 in sales, but you have probably like 30 people at least that have come to your website with the intent to buy, and you
Yeah.
putting them through an automatic buying process. I was like, that's wrong, man. Like, you could talk to every single one of those.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why
For
so many
for
entrepreneurs are
5 minutes.
they're
Five,
afraid to
yeah, a
talk to
little
clients.
chat maybe. Tiny little
It's
chat.
crazy. Crazy. Talk to your clients. It's a thing. Like, it actually works. That's actually
Yeah.
what kept us alive in Gen M. So we
Well, tell
actually,
me about that. Yeah.
yeah, we used to have automated payments where people would like buy our product without talking to anybody, right? It's a subscription membership to
Sure,
Gen M.
sure. Yeah.
And it was okay. Actually, the conversions were not that bad. They were okay conversions. But what ended up happening is, because we're such a unique product, we found that people didn't quite know how to use the product. So we had to like,
Yeah.
they weren't knowing how to using it. So we had to do a lot of customer service. So we said, well, what if we just talk to them early on before they even become members? Well, number one is they know how to use the product really well. They get the full value of the product. They become evangelists, and our sales conversion skyrocket,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So it's a
cool.
really good way of building community, right? So we have such a strong community in Gen M because every business that signs up, we talked with. And it's kind of hard to believe that a startup, because we are scaling up, like we got thousands on our platform, that we still talk to every business. And that's just something we believe in. And we think it's super important to build community that way.
Well, you're
So,
investing time, right? I mean, you're investing a little bit up front and it's paying off. People aren't going to be submitting support tickets left and right, and they feel bought in. They're part of, like you said, the community. Smart.
and you learn so much. Like, now I
Yeah.
think we can automate it because our product's much more advanced now.
Sure.
But early on, like, you learn so much about your clients and their needs and what they're looking for. And they're not afraid to come out and talk with you if they have issues, because they've done that already.
Right.
When they cancel, they'll give you the feedback, let's say, and then you learn from that. So You know, if you're a small business owner, stop trying to automate your sales. Okay. Do
Yeah.
things that don't scale. Talk to your customers. In fact, Paul Graham from Y Combinator, famous accelerator for startups, probably the best in the world, actually. It's like the
Yeah.
Harvard for
Totally.
startups. That's one of the things they teach is do things that don't scale. And he's talking to companies that become billion-dollar companies. He's telling them early on, do things that don't scale. So when you market, and this is like why I talk about sales and marketing working hand in hand. Like when you market these people, you know, what I did early on, and it was so intertwined, the two, you know, I posted in Facebook groups.
Okay.
Okay. So you know, when Genem first started, we had 3 months to live at one time. So we launched our apprenticeship marketplace and it was working. And we have this mission of creating a free education system, right? That's our
Cool.
vision, accessible to anyone. And
Cool.
this is something really important to us.
Yeah.
And we launched our apprenticeship marketplace and it was working. People were signing up and, you know, a lot of early success. But we had like 3 months of cash left before we were like done.
Wow.
So we had to like sit there and figure out how the hell are we gonna get like 300 paying clients. We need about 300 paying clients to break even. So our mission we can continue building out our
Continue.
mission.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, screw this. I built a funnel and a very simple funnel, and I use Facebook groups. I said, you know what, our demographics are small business owners, and digital marketers, less than
Hmm.
5 employees, solopreneurs, life coaches, e-commerce companies. And where are they? You know, I can't afford to market them and pay significant acquisition costs. It takes a little bit of time to do that, like
Yeah.
AdWords.
Totally.
And so I said, you know what? They're in Facebook groups, right? Like, so you go to like a small business group or
Sure.
e-commerce group or digital marketing group, and there's like, you know, 10,000 members in that group. And we had this doesn't work for everyone, right? This worked for us because we had such a compelling offer. Like it's a stupid offer. Like,
Cool.
you know, like you can get a student marketer to market your business for 10 hours a week in a 3-month digital apprenticeship. They do this unpaid as part of their training,
Wow.
right? So that's like unheard of offer, right? I'm getting 40 hours of labor a month. I pay a $49 a month membership fee. Like you do the math, there's nothing comparable to that. So I knew that our offer was very strong, but I needed like to convince businesses of this and like give us a shot. So what I did is I created a funnel and it was a simple image, and I said, you know, our student marketers will market your business unpaid as part of their training. Is
Wow.
anyone interested? And then people would comment, right? And then I would like their comments and I would respond to their comments, ask them direct message me, right?
Yeah.
And then I had them book a call with me using a link, Calendly link.
Sure. Yeah.
They book
Calendly.
a
Yep.
call with me. I built out a script for that. And then I had them, I converted 40% of them on the first phone call. But that was like sales and marketing intertwined with each other,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
marketed,
Grinding it out for sure.
grinding it out, right?
Not scalable, but early
No.
on, to your point, do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Now, obviously, that channel, like we don't really, we have way, you know, our acquisition comes from referrals actually and
Nice.
affiliate marketing.
And
Our
baller podcasts.
and Baller Podcast. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah. Sick,
Podcast is
man.
slow. Podcast, you know, for me, this is an argument that we have. Okay, let's talk. We
Okay.
talk about
Yeah.
podcasts. Yeah. So I'm all about you got to show me step by step how a customer is going to convert. And
Yeah.
podcasts are tricky. Like, let's just say you have, you know, 2,000 people listening to this podcast.
Sure.
They're not in front of a computer,
Right. They're like
right?
driving or
They're
hiking or running
driving.
or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So in my head, I'm like, how are they going to, first of all, remember who we are? And
Right.
then like go to our website, get our information and sign up. I don't see it. I just don't see it, right? But if there's
Right.
enough of a reach and there's enough of an intent, and then what ends up happening is I think you got to do a lot of podcasts. I think it's more of like a brand. And then now you talk about brand marketing,
Right.
where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't directly see, you know, I think there's a conversion there. Like we do get conversion from
Mm-hmm.
podcasts. It's not like super high level conversions,
It's not as
but
direct, right? It's not a
it's
click
not
and
as direct.
yeah, it's
Yes.
harder to track too.
And there's a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
There is a company that sold bath mats.
Huh.
Okay, and this is where it's really important. There's something called a trigger.
Yeah.
Okay, and the trigger like reminds you about this product. And they had a really cool commercial where there was a guy taking a shower and he slips and he falls, and then he gets this bath mat, and then he no longer slips and falls, right?
Yeah.
And then brilliant commercial. Like it was very impactful. Like, holy snap. Like I've slipped in the shower. Everyone slipped in the shower. You should get a bath mat, right? But the problem is that the only time you would think about that is when you're in the shower. And when you're in the shower, you can't buy.
You can't. You're right.
So like, you
You're not
go
even
in the
writing it
shower.
down. Like nobody really has notebooks in the shower.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I should get this bath mat. And then like you leave the shower and it's out of your
Something
head.
else. Yeah.
Like very few people are going to be like, oh, let me make a note of that. I should have a
Yeah.
bath mat commercial. And then let me go to my computer and search. And like, it's like the best marketing is when the person is able to buy. You know, when they're like in front of a computer and you're selling them a digital product, the conversions are way higher than like something like a podcast where they hear about it. Then what? You have to remember it. Or like
Yes.
not quite sure how they're going to convert on that side of things. So that's where I kind of put it into the bucket of brand marketing, where they might hear about Gen M on your podcast, and then maybe they hear about it somewhere else on other podcasts because you're pushing a lot of podcasts now. And then maybe some who really want our solution, they will come look at the show notes, find our link,
Right.
sign up to Gen M, or maybe do a Google search, sign up to Gen M, like Generation Millennials, GENM, Gen
Okay.
M, like Generation Millennials.co.
GENM.
M. Yeah,
So
.co.
it's like there's no dash.
No, just Gen M.
M. M is in
M.
M&M's.
M&M's, yeah. Gen M, like Generation Marketing, or
Yeah.
Millennials, sorry. Gen M.co.
That's the
Yeah.
Well, why don't you describe what it is? Because that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here too. Because it's a amazingly cool concept. I want to try it out, bounce some ideas off you with it. So kind of like throw it at us. Like,
Yeah.
what and where did it come from, and why did you create it, and then what does it do? And then what we'll try to do is we'll even just try to create some triggers. Because when I think about podcasts, like I've bought a couple things based on like Joe Rogan's podcast, but they've had like some crazy compelling story.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, that story was so crazy. And then you're right, some trigger reminded me to go try that restaurant out. Or something.
Alpha Brain, man. I'm like, I want to buy Alpha Brain, but every time I listen to that podcast, I'm not in a position to buy Alpha Brain.
Yeah, you're like working out or something. Like it's not even.
Here's what I do though. I open up my email and I send myself a note. I
Yeah.
email myself.
Yeah.
You know, so anybody listening to this podcast, you should open up your emails, send yourself a quick note with our URL, genm.co. Check it out later when you're in front of a computer.
Yeah.
So what is Gen M? You know, I'll tell you how we started. I was an entrepreneur. I still had a lot of small businesses. It's hard.
Yeah.
I didn't have cash. I didn't have resources, you know, and I need to grow my business.
Sure.
So what did I do? I went and I found some students to help me grow my business. They work with me as volunteers. It was a great experience. They ended up getting jobs. I hired a quarter of them myself. So it was a great way for me to hire talent as I scaled up my business.
Yeah.
And it was a great way for them to get experience. I didn't think anything of this, right? And then, you know, I did this for a very, very long time. It was a very painful process. I actually developed a whole funnel for it. You know, I developed a whole system around that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I said, you know, one time we were looking to hire a marketing intern, and then I had 200 people apply. And
Whoa.
it was a paid position at that time. And like 98% of them I classified as unhireable because they had no experience. I wasn't about to pay somebody who doesn't have experience, entry level. Because I had some that did have experience. Like, why would I not hire them with no experience?
Sure.
And they're also like decent at you know, in that regard as well. So we said, you know what, man, this is actually a really big problem. I didn't really think about it from the student side of things, but they're struggling. They go to school for 4 years, they get into debt, they graduate, they don't have any experience, can't get a job, they can't get it without experience, they can't experience without a job. They get crushed.
Totally.
Like they're getting crushed. And then like we started investigating this problem even more, and we said, you know what? The education system is fundamentally screwed up. Like it takes 4 years. What they're learning is completely outdated. They have
100%.
no work experience.
Yeah.
It costs a fortune, $141,000 it costs in the US now to get a degree. $1.4 trillion is the student debt. You can't even discharge it in bankruptcy. You can
Right.
discharge anything except income tax and student loans in bankruptcy.
Dude.
Mind-boggling. So
Yeah.
you have these people who are graduating and they're not getting jobs. You know,
Right.
56% of them are underemployed. 73% are not even using their degrees that they studied with. And we said, you know what, man, this is really like, it's becoming such a significant problem and they don't have any alternatives. These
Sure.
students, like, what else are they going to do to get job training? How else are they going to launch their careers? There's nothing except post-secondary.
Yeah.
So we said, you know, if we could find a way to make education free, you know, if we could do this, we would unlock such a massive economic opportunity for students that, you know, what would happen if they could get educated faster, more effectively, and for free? It's crazy. Like that's
Sure.
a lot of criteria to hit.
Yeah.
And our hypothesis was like, you know, we had this unique insight where like, you know what, I'm like, oh, I trained so many students myself as a business owner, and I took them from being unhireable to
Mm.
hireable in
Yeah.
like 3 months to 6 months. And you know, what if we could enable businesses to do this on scale? What if we could provide businesses with the tools and the resources and the support where they could effectively train students for the job market? You know, if we could do that, you know, for the students, we could potentially create a free education system, and it'll be based off of what industry is looking for. We had to figure out how to incentivize the businesses. We said, well, you know what? Students, they work unpaid in school. Like
Right.
they're not getting paid. In fact, they're paying in school.
Yeah. For projects, they're paying to do bullshit projects that are outdated.
Totally.
Write
And
press
like
releases.
they're paying like $400 a class. It's insane.
Yeah.
And we said, you know what? We can supply the courses. We can supply the marketplace. We can supply the collaboration tools. We can enable businesses to certify through our platform. We'll make it really easy for the businesses where they can just do the feedback and the mentorship. And then they can work with these students who will work unpaid as part of their training. So it's kind of like the old apprenticeship model. You know, back in the day when people
Yeah.
wanted to get educated for the job market, they would apprentice under a master. It was much more intense. It was like 7 years and like it
Sure.
was a significant investment. These days, people have the attention span of like, you know, mice. So you can't do a 7-year training. So we
Yeah.
developed like a modern day apprenticeship system where businesses, the number one cost they have is labor. Number one.
True.
Now they get this extra hand, this labor that they're not paying for.
Right.
Students, they get courses, work experience, and certifications for free.
Jeez.
We make this all possible with a $49 a month membership fee. It's a subscription to access the marketplace. There is no better value in the whole world. Like you just don't find a better deal than that.
How do you keep the lights on? I mean, it seems like you're creating tremendous value for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
$50 a month. I mean, I'd sign up 9 times just to get
Yeah,
a
that's
bunch
what
of
we're seeing.
students.
Tremendous growth. Look, you know, with 100 businesses, it doesn't make sense. With 1,000 businesses, it doesn't make sense. But if we could create a global scale education system and we had 100,000 businesses
Right.
or 1,000,000 businesses, there's 300 million small businesses in the world. There's 200 million post-secondary students. If we could become the number one destination for students to launch their careers and for small businesses to come to find talent and grow their businesses, that's a very significant company. That'd be the biggest education company in the world at that point.
Yeah.
And there's other ways we can monetize, you know, so like
Sure.
the membership fees is the core model, but there's other things that we're doing that we have in the pipeline
Cool.
to monetize. One of them is, you know, we're working on right now called Gen M School. It's like an intensive 7-month program,
Oh, cool.
and it's based off income share agreements with students. These are people who want like a more intensive experience.
Yeah.
But the point is, when you build this system and you create this company on scale, it's a remarkable company and it's very profitable on scale.
Wow.
At least that's the hypothesis. So.
Yeah. No, and arguably, I did internships right throughout school because I was kind of like that entrepreneur not so great at school. I'm bored out of my mind. So kind of like you, I was just always doing other things, while paying for school. And so, but those internships, that's where I learned everything, you
Yeah.
know. Maybe I learned to write. I learned about Western civilization in school, the Romans, the 5 reasons for the fall of
Yeah.
Rome. But
It cost you a fortune to learn that.
yeah, it was expensive. I'm not sure if I remember all 5, but
Yeah. It's
internships
okay.
I did.
Wikipedia will remind you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But those internships were the best education. So arguably, if you can make this thing work or continue to grow, it's working, but to make it work for even more people, you're actually giving them a better education than they'd get at university. I don't want to
You got it.
throw it out there, but maybe you skip that university and
Yeah.
go get some real life training.
Eventually, that's exactly what will happen. As we
Yeah.
build our marketplace, as we build other tools and support and our niches, that's exactly what will happen is people will opt in. Look, think about it this way. You're a student, you're in high school, you're going to go to college or university.
Right.
You don't know what you want to do with your life.
Right.
Like most students don't know what they want to do, or they have an idea, but they're not quite sure. Or even if they know what they want to do, so you have a couple options. You can go to university and you can take on a loan.
Yep.
That you can discharge and has 6 to 12% interest, and commit 4 years of your life, and you have to travel to school and this massive time investment, and you don't even know what kind of teachers you're going to get.
Right.
You don't pick your teachers, right?
Yeah, you don't.
Or you can come to Gen M, where you could work remotely 10 hours a week on your schedule, learning whatever you want from a business that you select.
Oh, wow.
The
student selects.
For free. It's a double opt-in model. So it's like dating.
Oh, I like that.
You match, you chat, and then you start.
Do you make people swipe on each other?
We're actually building Swipe now. Right now, it's like a scroll feature.
Oh, cool.
But we're going to switch to UX to a swipe and see what that looks like.
I like you. I like you. I like you. I don't like you.
Very similar, actually. Very similar.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so it's a double opt-in. That's good for everyone because it's like, it's again, the stereotype of the millennial or whoever it is that doesn't really want to do any work, but that's maybe all the other students. But this is a student that came to this site. They want to get real life experience. They want to learn, and now they're opting into your company, and you're opting into them. That's like a little matchmaking.
It is. Yeah, it's a marketplace. Yeah. That's how it works. That's why it's only $49 a month, and it's up to you to find. It's like exactly like a dating app. Like you can imagine a dating app. It's exactly the same mechanics. Obviously, it's a professional relationship.
Right.
And so you get matched with hundreds of students. We chat with the ones you like. When you find a good fit, you just jump on the phone to qualify them. And then we have one-click labor contracts embedded in the messenger. So you can get them started with like one click. Wow. And right now we're building out collaboration tools where you can give them tasks. They can send you progress reports.
That's cool.
Give them ratings and reviews on their work. At the end of the apprenticeship, if you're happy as a business, you can actually certify your apprentice in digital marketing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would this be something you do even if you are a student? You could do this as the internship?
Most of them do it in school. Yeah. Like, here's the thing with internships. There's very few paid internships, like very few, like maybe 5% of the student population can get a paid internship. Most of them are going to have to do maybe an unpaid internship, but you're actually breaking labor laws a lot of the time you do that. There's a lot of conditions you got to watch out for. It's not easy. It's, not recommended at all.
Does this help circumvent that? Does this help?
Yeah, we designed because of the service. We designed to be labor law compliant. We're an education company, and we provide coursework, certification tools, support. It's all related to their vocation. There's no promise of a job. There's no promise of pay. It's 100% focused on educational training.
Wow. U.S. and Canada too, like it.
It's global. Happy, most of them are in North America.
Oh wow, beautiful. Well, most people listening to this are North America too.
Perfect.
There's a few people in Europe. Shout out the download and binges, but that's very cool. That's very cool that this is any kind of success story that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, like I can talk about ourselves, from personal experience.
Yeah.
So we had 4 or 5 apprentices in our own businesses. 2 of them were flops. It's like hiring anybody in that kind of role, entry level. especially if they're students and they're unpaid. So we had five. Two of them were flops. One of them was decent. One of them was really good. I liked him. Great guy. We weren't in a position to hire at the time,
Right.
but I still talk with him. Super cool guy.
Yeah.
Very smart. Built a really nice relationship with him. And the fifth one, we were in a position to hire, and she was a rock star. She's the best entry level hire I ever made. I've hired over 300 people myself.
Wow.
Best entry level hire I've made. Through
Really?
Jenna. Well, you qualify them, right? You see their work.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Not all of them work out.
That's the best
But
way to hire someone, honestly, to see them in action.
yeah, exactly. Like, and it's easy to figure out which ones will work and not because you're working with them. Like the two that flopped, like they weren't that good. They weren't that responsive. Didn't produce a lot. One of them was okay, but like I didn't consider them a rock star. One was really good, which wasn't in a position to hire at the time. And then
Right.
boom, we were in a position to hire, and then we found the rock star and
Right.
best hire we've made for entry level.
Excellent. So let's set the trigger right now. The next time, if you're listening to this, and the next time you look at a to-do list or you realize you don't have one, but the number of things in it is overwhelming, and you have that sinking feeling of overwhelm, your brain is going to remind you that there's a potential to get help from a student who wants to learn from you and who could take on some of this work. And it's just like $50 a month. And then
Yeah.
the words will float into your mind. JenM.co. That's what's going to float in there. And you can remember you sent yourself an email during that podcast.
Now, send it right now.
Yeah, you sent that email now.
So look, it's in your inbox. You're not going to forget it, right? Like,
Right.
this is how I manage all of my tasks, actually. I email myself at the time
I like
that
that.
it comes in my head because I'm always in my inbox, right? I'm always in my inbox.
Totally.
So if I email myself, I'm going to look at it later and then I can action it as I need to see fit. So open up your phones, hit the compose button. In the subject line, just type in GENM.co, hit send. When you're in front of a computer, just check it out later.
Love it. This is great. Now, I'm thinking of doing this because I've got a book coming out Q1 about marketing automation. I love to get some help marketing that. It's around
We have a lot of
brand.
people doing that.
Get the word out about it. Obviously, you got the team here at Chesh, but we're busy, right? So it's like getting that extra pair of eyes to do some marketing with us, and also we get to teach them. I mean, that's fun to contribute too. It's fun to pass on your
Amazing
knowledge.
feeling. It's great.
So,
That was actually my favorite part of having an apprentice was like just
yeah.
helping change their lives. Really,
True enough.
it's so appreciated.
So the question now I have in your inbox all the time, creating companies left and right. Who are you? Who is Mo? Like who are you? Where did you come from? How did you become this like entrepreneur, marketing whisperer, helper of marketing students, worldwide?
Look, I come from a poor immigrant family. I didn't even graduate high school.
Wow.
We lived in subsidized housing growing up.
In Canada?
Really,
Are you in
Canada, yeah.
Okay.
In Canada, yeah.
Were you born in Canada?
I was born in Lebanon. Came here when I was 3
kidding.
years old. My parents didn't speak any English. My dad worked for minimum wage. Like I barely saw my dad because there were 7 of us, and he was working for minimum wage. He was working like 14-hour days. So my mom really ran the household, and I was just a very curious child, always wanting to learn, always exploring. I grew up in a rough area. Like you step outside and like there's a 20% chance you might get into a fight. So very rough area. Yeah, very rough
Canada?
area. In Canada, yeah.
I thought it's all friendly and maple syrup and stuff.
I mean, it's not bad now actually. That area is kind of cleaned up a lot.
A while ago, you're saying? So like early on, it was kind of.
This is like Canada let in a lot of immigrants in 89,
gotcha.
91, 92. They let in a lot of like refugees. A lot of them came to Ottawa at that time, and they aggregated in the same place. They've kind of now dispersed, so it's not that bad actually.
Cool.
I don't know any really rough areas in Ottawa, like really really rough. And even then, like there's no guns in Canada really, so we didn't have like gun issues. I mean, there's knives, but no guns.
Right.
But it's just like that. I mean, you grow up in subsidized housing, like it's gonna be rough, right? It's like you don't have any money.
Right.
Like, sometimes we struggled to put, like, I didn't eat meat I eat meat a lot now.
Do you?
Yeah, because growing up, it was like a commodity, right?
No
So,
kidding. Yeah.
yeah. And you just have to hustle. Like, you got to figure out your own way. Like, I didn't have, like, my mom was the one home and she was busy, right? It's 5 kids and 7 of us total. And this tiny little townhouse. And she, I had to figure out my own way. So when I was 12, we didn't have a lot of money. I would go door to door selling chocolates or services. My parents would take that money. So for me, it just became more of like competition in the game than actual making money that I can use.
Right. 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 It's not your money in the end of the day,
Not a
but
lot of money,
it was
no.
fun to be maybe the sibling that brought in the most bacon or sold the most chocolate
Yeah, it
or
was fun. Yeah, it's exactly what it
yeah.
was for me. So I'm myself. There's a couple of key traits I have. I'm very curious, growth mindset, and I'm an ultra competitor.
Yeah.
And when I was 18, under 17-ish, no, 16 actually at the time, I was overweight,
Hmm.
I was broke, and I was failing all my classes in school.
Jeez.
And I just, like, I don't know. And then what happened was there was a girl I really liked, and I started seeing her somehow. Like, I
Sure.
got lucky with that one. But then the right when I started seeing her, I got jumped by a bunch of guys. They beat me up in front of her. The next day, she dumps me.
What?
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. And
Dude.
then
Double whammy.
rock bottom, buddy.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
that that's a stark rock bottom right there, man.
I always imagined myself as like this really successful guy, and here I was, 16, over broke, beat up, dumped, and broke.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, man, like, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna do something about this. I started with my physical body, so I
Okay.
trained every day. I got ripped and jacked, and
Yeah.
became a significant athlete. And then from
What kind of
there,
training were you doing early on?
early on, I used to rollerblade about 5 kilometers to the gym, train for 2 hours, and rollerblade home. I rollerbladed everywhere in the city. Like,
Oh
I just got
shit.
around by rollerblading. I'm actually, you can't really see it right now, but I'm getting, like, I'm in really good shape. I kind of figured out how to maintain
Oh
that.
yeah.
Nutrition is I love nutrition. I know
Cool.
a lot about nutrition. I can talk about that all day.
Sure.
And then
So
I
okay.
started my,
Yeah, so you're rollerblading around, you're going to the gym for hours. Man,
yeah,
you must have something clicked in your brain then. You're like, screw this. I
yeah.
gotta do something. And that sounds like you really did, because like kilometers of blading and then gym and then blading home, like man. And then you had dropped out of school at this point too, or
Well, I wrote down my goals. I think
yeah,
that was very important.
nice.
Now, like, I have so much more advanced tactics and
Got it.
strategies, very advanced. But back then, like, just writing down your goals was life changing, and
True.
I wrote them down. I put them on my mirror, and I organized them nicely. I put a
Like
lot of effort into writing them down. I saw them every day. Every day I saw those goals. I cut out a lot of my friends. I went into, like, this, like, private mode of just focusing on myself.
yeah,
And what I would do, actually,
smart.
I would train, and then I would go to chapters every single day. I didn't go to school. I didn't believe in school. I never believed in school.
Right.
I did well in school. Never believed in school. It just didn't make sense to me.
Probably didn't believe in you. So
Didn't believe in me. I failed math 3 times.
yeah.
So just to give you an idea. I couldn't even get accepted into college or university. Just to give you an
Right.
idea. Even if I tried, think about that one for a sec. But what I did do is I went to chapters every day, which is
What's
like
that?
Barnes and Nobles, I think would be a bookstore.
Okay, cool. They call it
Indigo.
chapters, or they have a store called
Well,
Chapters?
not, now it's Indigo, actually.
Indigo. Cool.
Yeah, I think Barnes and Nobles in the
Yeah,
U.S.
Barnes and
Yeah.
Nobles. So that's even dropping now to Amazon. But yeah, that's the same kind of place you'd go and get books.
Yeah. So I was in there like 6 to 8 hours a day, every
Really?
day. Yeah, and like, instead of like you go to school, you don't pick your teacher, you don't pick your
Right.
subjects, like your limited
True.
subjects, and you don't really pick the content, and it's not self-paced. So I went to chapters, or the bookstore, and for 6 to 8 hours I would learn from the very best authors on the subjects I want, in the highest quality content, at my own speed. I'd read a book every
Totally.
day or two.
Yeah.
And then I just built this wealth of knowledge that really kind of unlocked this world for me. And then I got lucky. I ended up, you know, it's crazy. Like, because I started looking really good, I became more intelligent. So I was able to speak better. A lot more opportunities came my way.
Huh.
And one of the opportunities was I was just in a parking lot driving, and a friend, not even like a guy I knew, was like, "Hey, these guys are hiring out west. Just go check it out." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go check it out." So I went to the interview. I got hired. I went out west to BC, and then I went to Miami, Florida, where
Wow.
I was 18 at the time, fixing phone lines. I was
Wow.
the youngest technician. I didn't know how to fix phone lines, by the way. I just kind of just did it.
You just did it.
Most
Wow.
people, most people are afraid to do that, right? I don't know how
Yeah.
to fix phone lines. Why am I taking this job? I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna figure it out. And that's what I did. I figured it out. I moved to Florida for like 4 months, took that contract, saved a bunch of money, came back, started my first landscaping businesses, going door to
Nice.
door.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And it was just myself. And then eventually I hired a couple of guys and I built a little system. And then I built that cruise. And then, I did that for about 2 years. And then I sold that company because I just didn't see how it could become a bigger company, because my
Yeah.
goals, I said, at the time I wanted to make X amount of revenue. I had a lot of reasons why to become very successful, because my why was very strong
Nice.
because of my background. Like, it's,
What was the why? Was it something that
when you grow up poor and you can't afford to eat properly,
yeah, meat, you're
and
saying.
and
Yeah.
and your parents, although they taught me great morals and ethics, they really couldn't educate me. They didn't teach me anything about making money or
Right.
being successful. It just wasn't a thing. And when you get beat up and there's nothing you can do about that, and then when you get dumped by the person you really care about and there's nothing you can do about that, and you hit this rock bottom, and then you look at your mom and your dad and they're sick. My parents are sick. My mom has MS.
Oh,
my
wow.
dad my dad had a stroke, was in a coma for 2 weeks.
Jeez.
And like and it's because there's a lack of knowledge and discipline that they have in nutrition and following that, and then a healthy lifestyle. And I look at that and I'm like, I never want to be in that position. I never want my kids to be in that position.
Right.
And then I look at the wealthy people that I met in Florida, because I was in Palm Beach, who are like have
Oh,
yachts in their
jeez.
backyard.
Boca.
They're normal people.
Yeah.
Boca Raton is actually where I was stationed.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I'm like, these are just normal people. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing different between me and them. Why are they the ones with the wealth,
Right.
the security, and I don't have any of that? So in my head, it's like I'm always chasing that security. I'm always chasing that position where I'm never going to get beat up again, where I'm never going to get dumped again, where I'm never going to be hungry again. And it's just driving factor for me and my kids. And now my goal is to create this legacy company, and build my own legacy up and help other people, overcome these obstacles that could be, seem insurmountable at the time. But if you just trust the process, it's then only a matter of time.
Wow. Man, I could see that why being just so strong that it just drives everything. And you mentioned goal setting, the mirror, and now you have some more advanced techniques. But man, nothing like having a strong why underneath all of it to just push
Absolutely.
through.
Absolutely, man. And naturally, I'm an ultra competitor. Like,
Right.
I compete every day. I actually hone that skill. I
Huh.
don't. It's not an accident. It's something I purposely do.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't get this whole situation why people don't work on their competition level.
Huh.
You
Tell me
can
about it.
become a better competitor. Really, like, you could become, if you take it seriously, and I do take it seriously, and like, it's not fun for people I compete with sometimes, but sometimes it is. You learn how to win.
Learn how
Like,
to win.
it's that simple, right? So, like, in basketball, as an example, like, I was terrible in basketball. I didn't win in basketball. I couldn't take free throws. Or my dribbling was bad. And then, I started, boom, practice free throws. And I looked at technique. Oh, that's the right technique. I went from 30% to 70% from the line. And then I figured out where my positions were on the court, and I figured out how to build a strong team. And I need a shooter on my team because I can take the key really well. And then my win ratio went from like 2 out of 10 to 8 out of 10.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then same with jiu-jitsu. I got into jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And
then, tell me about that. How long have you been doing that?
It's been, I did it about 7-8 years ago for about maybe 8 or 9 months. And then I stopped because I moved offices and I was far away from the gym. And I rejoined last April.
Okay.
And I did I'm like, it's a perfect sport for me because it's very strategic, very much about positioning, position before submission.
Interesting.
And, I'm also a really fit guy, so it gives me an advantage, especially in my age category. And then I remember in my first tournament I entered, I was still, a white belt at the time. I thought I was going to win. I ended up getting submitted I won silver in the biggest tournament in the country.
Wow.
Which, to my eyes, I lost.
Right.
I was actually crying a little bit that day. I was not happy about that.
Pissed.
I was pissed. I was very pissed. I was just, it was my first tournament, mind you, but I wasn't happy about losing that. And I said, screw this. It's not going to happen again. So I went back and I trained. And I trained, I compete. When I train really, really hard.
Okay.
So hard, in fact, that, I entered 2 more tournaments and I won both of them, gold, 0 points against, which means they didn't even get 1 point against me, and they're all submitted. And what was funny is I wasn't even tired. And then I went the next day or like 2 days later to train, and I was exhausted and I was like injured from my training.
Yeah.
The tournament was a breeze.
Wow.
So you can up your competition level. It doesn't matter what it is. And there's a saying: it's how you do anything is how you do everything.
Love that.
Right. So like, when I wake up and the way I move, the way I clean, the way I speak, to me, it's all progress. When you compete, it's really about progress. Like if you're a real competitor, you're not the best at everything. I'm not the best at anything. But if I can outcompete you, it's only because I can progress faster. That's it. That's the only reason. If you beat me now and I beat you then, it's because I progressed faster. So it's really about progress, that ability, like, okay, if I'm going to be a competitor, I got to learn how to get better quick. So how do you get better quick? There's a lot of things you can do for that.
Right.
But it
sounds like you have that intention. You're intentional about, I am going to win, or I'm going to do what it takes to win. People maybe not thinking about that. They're like, oh, I'd like to win. You're like, no. Going to win. What does it take? Let's find out.
The way I see it is, look, if you're putting time in, you're putting time in. You've already invested the cost.
Right.
Why not aim for the maximum outcome?
Yeah.
If you have the energy for it. If you don't have the energy, which you can build your energy, by the way, you can build your chi. I spent a lot of time building my chi.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of time. A lot of my focus goes.
Now, is that just like tied to fitness or like something else? Not just
mental strength and fitness.
Mental strength and fitness.
Yeah, it all comes back to mental strength. Really, it all comes back to mental strength, to be honest.
Yeah.
All of it's mental strength. Like you're only able to do that in the gym because you mentally can get past the suffering.
Totally.
I can talk a lot about suffering. I'm a big believer in suffering, controlled suffering. A lot of people, they try to avoid suffering.
Sure.
What ends up happening when you avoid suffering is you don't control it. So it just comes to you. No matter what, it's going to come to you. And if you don't know how to handle the suffering, then you become overwhelmed, you become stressed, you become sick, you become weak, and you go back to avoiding it even more. And you get this down spiral, right?
Yeah.
But if you were able to build your tolerance for suffering up, your ability to suffer goes way higher. When suffering comes to you, you know how to handle it. It's like training. It's like my jiu-jitsu. Like I trained so hard that the tournament was a breeze. So, for example, on Monday, New Year's Day, while everyone, you can follow me on Instagram. I actually posted this on
Oh yeah.
Instagram.
What's the
Yeah,
Instagram?
at Real Moa Bass.
Okay.
Okay, you can check out the story I posted on this for New Year's Day. While everyone was nursing their hangovers, I said, screw this. We're going to start the year off right. We're going to start it off on the top of a mountain.
Nice.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to climb the biggest mountain in my region, Mount Tremblant, 3,000 feet incline. And it's about 2.5 hour vertical climb, but 4 hour if you take an easier way. And I said, you know what? This isn't tough enough. Like, it's not difficult enough. Like, let's add a layer of
Had you done
suffering.
it before?
I did it last year.
Okay.
I did it last year, and it was about -4.
Okay.
And I did it in my t-shirt. Okay.
Okay.
So this year, it was -10. I did it only in shorts. And I did it fasting.
No t-shirt?
No t-shirt, fasting -10. 2.5
Just in
hours
shorts and fasting.
outside, 2.5 hours of a climb.
And you did the vertical, the tough one, not the
It
4
was
hour.
snow. It was just snow. I mean, I think I actually
Did
did
you have
harder.
gloves on?
I had just gloves on because you can't keep these warm easily.
Yeah,
There's a
that's hard.
breathing technique to keep your body warm. Okay, so there's actually a breathing technique you can utilize to stay warm.
Is that the guy over in Sweden or whatnot?
Yeah, Wim Hof. Yeah.
Wim Hof. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the Iceman. So I utilize this technique.
Okay.
And then it was tough, man. You can see in this story, like I started strong and it was difficult and I was suffering. I was suffering a lot and I wanted to quit. But I knew that, there was a time halfway through where the path became snowed in and I had a chance to turn back because there was no friggin' path.
Right.
But I said, if I turn back now, I know the trail is this way, but I don't see the path. I said, you know what? I can just trust the trail, the process, and make my own path. And that's what I did. And I said, if I do that, what's going to stop me in 2019? Like, what's going to stop me? If I can get past this suffering, it's controlled, right? I put myself in that position on purpose, in my control. I had my jacket in my bag. I could put it on anytime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to focus. I know where I'm going. I know the process or the trail. And then from then, the only thing in my mind that occupied it was every breath and every step. That's it. One step at a time, one breath at a time. And then I get to the top and it was cold as fuck.
Yeah, wind was like wind and it's already -10.
Yeah, it was probably colder at the top. And then I put my jacket on. And guess what? 15 minutes later, or more like half an hour later, I'm warm. And all that's left, no more pain, just accomplishment.
Wow, yeah. I just pulled it up as you were talking here. Orange hat, backpack. Like, we're going to put it in the show notes. Like, hell yeah, dude. Talk about hardcore marketing, man. This is what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's awesome. To your point, it's like, and I almost see this too, like when you put candy in your body, it's like the opposite of it. And it's either going to hurt you or you're going to have to expend uncomfortableness to get rid of that. It's almost like this plus minus. But if you put
it's deferred suffering, right? So when you have
suffering, yeah,
don't defer your suffering. Like, you can take a quick dopamine hit by taking candy right now,
right?
And like, you're gonna feel good because you don't want to suffer the hunger or the discomfort of the pain,
right?
Of eating, healthy food. It doesn't have to always taste bad.
Broccoli.
There's ways of making it taste good,
right?
But you'd rather take that quick, let me avoid the suffering now. And what you're really doing is you're just adding debt. It's debt.
More debt. You're so right, man. It's like student loans, but it's physical.
That's all it is, man. You gotta invest.
To your point, where you started was like you worked on your physical body to get that energy. Mm-hmm. Then you worked on your mind to be able to just get tougher, compete more, have more discipline, more energy. You get that squared away. Man, your body's like, here's the fuel. Your mind's like, let's do this. It's
And
awesome.
then from there, you're able to. I built a team, started a construction company, built the biggest one in Canada for residential renovations.
Wow.
With a dozen of my childhood friends, we scaled it across the country, tens of millions in sales. Pivoted into technology, and from there, founded Gen M, where we are on a mission now to create a free education system accessible to anyone. And we're hoping that the community you have here can help us in this mission and join us.
I love that. It's like in that pursuit and that why, yeah, it's almost like you could taste it, like not having meat at dinner, just being at rock bottom, and you create these companies and the construction across Canada, across everywhere, and then now it's almost like you shifted to contribution where it's like, yeah, I can make money
Yeah,
in all these different places, but really I want to help out. I mean, that's where I'm at. I want to help marketers, man. I want to make marketers heroes. I was smoking a cigar the other day and I just sat there and I was like, you know what? I just love these people. And I don't pay me whatever. I want you to be as successful as I was in my marketing career. And that's it. So how can
that's
I
it.
do that? Right. So that I've been doing it on my side, doing it my way. And you've got this amazing thing you're building up that's really helping both marketers, both people, the company itself that's hiring someone, as well as that future, amazing marketing hero that's needs some training.
That's it, man. I'm a big believer in growth and contribution,
Yeah.
and that's what Gen is about. You grow your business and you contribute.
Beautiful. Love it. It's like mic drop, except mics are expensive.
Ah,
So we don't drop them. But this is great, man. If you looked at the clock, but just time is just flown by. This has been awesome.
yeah, yeah. How long has it been? It's been about, yeah, wow, over an
Yeah,
hour.
right? Time
Yeah.
flies. So what are some of the links? We'll just remind people the Gen M link, maybe some links of how they can connect to you, Instagram.
Yeah, look, there's two ways. There's two ways really.
Yeah,
One is genm.co. Check it out. Sign up as a business. Book
cool.
a call. Just learn about the platform. It's free to sign up. It's free to book a call. If it's a fit, it's not a fit for everyone. Don't get me wrong. Not for everyone. But sign up, book a call, and you'll find out.
Okay.
It's like a 5-10 minute call, so it's really on your own schedule. So it's whenever
Okay.
you like. You can book it even like 20 minutes from now. So it's not like you're booking a week from now. And the other one is if you want to follow me, I don't really post on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I do post on Instagram. I do a lot of stories on Instagram. And so you can add me on Instagram at RealMobass.
Yeah, I know, sir. The real is important because you are the real one.
Yeah. All those
It's
fake
cool.
guys out there,
Yeah, those imposters, doppelganger.
Imposters.
This is cool. Hey, quick question on the Gen M, because I'm even thinking of for myself.
Yeah.
How much do I have to have squared away before I make that phone call? Do I have to have a job description? Do I even,
No.
like how far? How can
No.
you
You can
help once you
sign
get on the
up.
phone?
No, you can sign up now, and then you can
Okay.
become a member now or later. And it'll take you it depends how fast you utilize the system.
Yeah.
You're paying for access ultimately, so you probably want to utilize it quicker.
Right.
But ultimately, it might take you you do it in 48 hours, you do it in a week. You chat with students. So
Nice.
it's a little bit of an HR process there. And then by the time you find a student, you can organize some work for them to do. And it's really about having tasks for them.
Okay.
That's the main thing, right? Tasks and
Got it.
communication. It's only really two things you got to do: have work for them to do, that's meaningful work,
Yep.
and communicate with them on a regular basis. That's it.
Got it. Love it. I'm actually gonna go sign up. We got
Yeah, check
some
it out.
got some things to do over here. So this has been great, man. Well, thank you so much. I love it, man. We talk about hardcore
You know what
marketing
I'll
all the
do
time, but
actually? You know
you're
what I'll do?
hardcore. Go ahead. What's up?
Anybody who mentions your podcast, I'll throw in a $25 credit on their accounts so
Oh,
they can
sick.
save. So the first month becomes $24.
Get a little
Whatever.
ROI in there.
Yeah. Anybody who mentions your podcast, so
All
just let
right.
them know that.
Got it. Hardcore. We'll make sure we put that in the link too. When you click on that
Yeah.
little link, don't forget. But prove us wrong that podcasts don't have an ROI, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
show us that they actually do work. But this is awesome, man. Mo, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Awesome. For everyone heard this, definitely go sign up. I'm gonna do that after this call here, after this show. Also, if you learn something here about growth marketing, about marketing careers, or even as we were talking later on, some of the, strengthening your body, your mind, getting that energy, share this with someone else, right? Don't just leave it in a silo, or you got it, now you're working on it. Get it to someone else that you care about or that you think should hear that message. And that way we can kind of spread this out, and especially get Genmo out there, get that free education really churning around. So that is it, guys. So I will see you all next time.